Hello everyone, very good morning, good afternoon and good evening to all of you. This is your host Vaibhav. In today's session of correlation and regression, we will be looking at the price development so far in the European trading session as we are heading into the US session to see if there are opportunities emerging for us to exploit using the relative aspect of the bullishness and the bearishness. We will be considering the price moves and the momentum therein and figure out which instrument in particular is having the strongest momentum on which side using the correlational analysis. So let us now head to the JForex for the newly released trading platform from the Dukascopy Bank SA. As we start the session, we are seeing this sharp move in the Euro USD of around 10 pips and I think it is attributable to some economic release coming in from the US. As I haven't seen the data rocket, so I'm not sure, but it looks like as there is this sharp move out of the sudden, and even if it is not, it is a formation where we can expect the continuation of the larger bullish momentum in the Euro USD. If we look at the hourly chart for the Euro USD using the price formation after this consolidation phase where the support was coming in around 1.05. We saw this sharp move in aftermath of non-farm payroll release on Friday, and yesterday it was all about consolidating and adding to those gains. Now on the higher side, in today's session in particular, the Euro USD seems like having reached a plateau. It is consolidating with slightly corrective momentum, and we saw this move with days swing high coming in at around 1.075 and the correction pushed it closer to 1.070, but I am expecting this to be short lived and in course of time the momentum which is likely to turn bullish again with the possibility of Euro USD climbing towards 1.08 in coming days, being quite solid, quite good. Now, in today's session, in backdrop of this consolidation move in a limited range, we will have to look for the relative strength and the weakness to see if we have the best opportunities in Euro USD or if we can go for the trade somewhere else. So let's start doing the job of figuring out the relative strength and weakness of this momentum. So for Euro USD, the day's swing high came in at 1.075 and the range is quite narrow. It is 40 pips, which is quite less in most trading sessions and more so in recent days. We have seen Euro USD trading with a quite a bigger range, but in today's session so far it has traded in a very narrow range of 40 pips and as this move is gathering steam, I think we can expect the Euro USD to try climb past this immediate swing high of 0.75. So that possibility is there, and keeping up with this hourly formation of higher highs and higher lows, we can expect it to even try to climb past this 1.076 in coming hours, or if not in today's session, maybe in tomorrow's session. The chances look quite strong. So for that, we have to keep an eye on USD for, pardon me, there appears to be on, let me disconnect it. Alright, I have rejected it, but still, pardon me for the interruption. Let me, Okay, finally. Now let us go to the JForex platform. Alright, sorry for the interruption. And as we are seeing this move gathering steam, we will have to keep looking for buying opportunities in the Euro USD. And if we want to go for the trade where we expect the dollar to be on the softer side in coming hours, we will have to consider these in relative terms and then determine if the euro is the best choice or if we have better options emerging somewhere else. In AUD, the decline was deeper compared to the euro. So I think on that count, we still can go with the euro being the first preference for any buy trade. As here, in case of AUD, the decline was higher in terms of the magnitude and also timeline of event are suggesting that there was more softness in the case of AUD compared to the euro. Let's look at the euro chart again, and even now the euro is not really far off from the immediate swing high, and this swing high came in just a couple of hours back in case of euro, 4 hourly high, but for AUD it had come in quite early. So both these things are suggesting that the euro is having a better momentum overall in terms of the continuation pattern of the higher highs and higher lows on the hourly time frame. So keeping up with that, we can have the preference for the AUD. Then comes the GBP USD, and let's see how it is shaping up. The GBP has also gone into a corrective phase with this deep, and if we look at the GBP USD's decline in today's session, it is apparently much shallower compared to the decline being observed in case of GBP, but it is deeper compared to the decline for euro. So we have to place it behind the euro, but I think we can place it ahead of the AUD. So we have this ranking in place with euro being the with least bearish momentum, and now it seems to be gathering even bullish momentum. So that is something to keep in mind. Let's look at the NZD-USD. NZD-USD decline was not that deep either. Here, the pattern formation is the same as is the case with most other major currencies trading against the dollar. Now, if we consider the NZD-USD chart, it is not far off from the immediate swing high, and it is on the stronger footing compared to the AUD. Now, the question is whether this is more of a choice or first choice for a buy trade ahead of the GBP or not. It is apparently weaker than the euro, but let's compare the timeline with GBP. For the GBP, the swing high had come in at 11:35. For NZD, it came in much later. So I think the timeline and the magnitude of decline puts the NZD ahead of the GBP in this shallowness of the prior bearishness prevalent in the NZD, and that puts it just behind the euro. So we have euro with the best possible momentum for any buy trade to be initiated with buy on dip strategy, and NZD USD following suit with GBP USD and AUD USD coming afterwards. Now let's invert the scales and start comparing the USD CAD, USD CHF and USD JPY. So here we have this USD CAD chart, and USD CAD was also dipping, not dipping, rising. Actually CAD was dipping, USD CAD was rising earlier with this immediate swing low coming in at 11:35 GMT. After that, it went on to make this high. but now it seems to be giving up prior gains, and it is not really far off from the day's low point. So in this case also, just like with the other major currencies trading against the dollar, we are seeing continuation formation with these bearishness being still quite there. So here also we will have to go with the flow and keep looking for the opportunities to go short in the USD CAD. Now the question is whether where USD CAD stands in terms of its relative strength and weakness, and it is apparently on the stronger side if we compare it to the EUDs and the GBP's formation, but we will have to compare it with NZD. NZD was also seeing bit more of a correction compared to the CAD in terms of the magnitude. So we will have to place it just behind the euro in terms of the momentum on the bullish side trading against the dollar. So here in case of Euro USD, the climb to the 4 hourly high is complete, but for most other major currencies, that is still to happen. So we still have the Euro USD in a best place scenario for the buy on dips trade, and USD CAD is one such instrument where you can keep an eye on just behind the euro. Let's see the case of USD CHF. The CHF was quite weaker compared to the other European majors, and even in this fresh decline, it is still far off from the prior swing low. So we have to put CHF even behind the GBP, NZD, and even CAD. Maybe you can give it preference over EUD USD, as in case of EUD there was no 4 hourly formation of the swing high after 350 GMT, but for USD CHF the low came in quite late, just a couple of hours back, so it has to be put in ahead of the AUD. Now let's look at the USD JPY. USD JPY has also traded in a narrow range with these prior 4 hourly low coming in quite early, just like the case of AUD USD. After that, it was trading with slightly bullish bias in today's session so far, and now it seems to be changing gears and on path towards continuation, but it is too early to say, and here also I think we will have to adopt a wait and watch approach with the JPY strength on the bearish side being just like the case of AUD. So it has to be used as the last preference for any trade in which you expect the US dollar to weaken from here onwards. We have the euro as the best place scenario, and then we have the JPY or even AUD, which can be used for going against the expectations. So we have the most bullish momentum against the dollar in euro and the least bullish momentum against the dollar in the JPY and the AUD currency process against the dollar. So you will have to take this relative strength and the weakness in mind and use it in context of your own trading setup, along with figuring out the momentum. It is always useful to look at the relative strength and the weaknesses as well. Now let's turn our gaze to the equity segment and see how things are shaping up in equity market. And the trajectory is apparently similar to what we are observing in case of major currencies trading against the dollar. Here also there was this corrective move, and now the buying momentum seems to be picking up in the equity segment as well. But given the prior drop, it is a bit difficult for us to make the assessment at the current level whether the momentum has turned bullish and should we start looking for the buy opportunities. Let's also consider the European developments so that will give us a marker of the things to come. For DAX, the climb towards immediate swing high is complete, and if we look at the hourly chart formation, it is in line with this formation of higher highs and higher lows. So keeping this in mind, I think we can indeed start dabbling in the equity segment also with the strategy of buy on dips. And apparently we have DAX in a much better position compared to the US equity index of the Dow Jones Industrial Average. So even if you have to go for any buy trade, the Dow Jones is not really looking like a good option. Let us consider the FTSE 100 as well. FTSE 100 was trading with substantial gains earlier, and some of those gains evaporated, but now it is trying to climb back again and recover the lost ground. Now it will be interesting to see how things are going to unfold from here onwards. But if we look at the momentum of the FTSE 100, it is quite strong, stronger than the DAX as well. So far, so good, and it has to be put ahead of the US equities. So we have better momentum on the upper side in European equity indices compared to the US equity indices, which are also now starting to turn the momentum into the bullishness, having seen these corrective moves earlier in the day. For the comparison, let's do the relative comparison of the S&P 500 and the Dow Jones Industrial Average along with the Nasdaq. So here the decline for hourly low came in at 13:30 GMT. After that, it is now trying to climb again. For the DAX, the low came in at 13:35 GMT. It is almost the same, but for Dow, the 4-hourly high has been reached, whereas in case of S&P 500, that is still some distance away. So we have to put the Dow ahead of the S&P 500 on this count. And for Nasdaq, the decline was deeper in terms of the magnitude, and also it is the one with the highest distance from the immediate swing high to the current level. So in today's session, we have the best momentum on in the bullish territory. For any buy trade, the preference will have to be given to the Dow Jones Industrial Average, but as we saw, it is better to trade with the bullish momentum in European equity indices compared to the US equity indices, as we have the best possible upside momentum in the FTSE 100 followed by DX, and then coming these three US equity indices which are having the tendency to consolidate in this narrow range, with the Nasdaq having the momentum which is slightly more bearish compared to the other equity indices of the US. So we will have to trade carefully. For any buy trade to be taken in today's session, it will be better to go with the Dow Jones Industrial Average, and for any sell trade to be taken, it will be better idea to work around for the optimization of the trade in the Nasdaq, which is having the least bullish momentum at the moment. So that's how things are shaping up heading into the North American trading session. So thank you all for joining in, and if you have any query or any idea to discuss regarding the things we have talked so far about the price development, price action developments in the European trading session, as we are pretty close to the North American trading session. So thank you all for joining in. Have a fabulous day, a profitable day ahead. See you tomorrow. Goodbye.